I'm Jacob Shaw.
I'm Kyle Stone.
And we're from the University of Plymouth.
And we got a commendation for the Silver Award. Our project is called Tracing Thresholds Landscape Production.
The project was based in Sudan, Khartoum, Tusi Island, which is an island surrounded by the Blue Nile and the White Nile that feed into the Nile River. And one thing that we wanted to focus on was how the rivers affect the island, as the soaring motion between the Blue and the White Nile sort of erode that island, which has taken away the agricultural landscape from the islanders, which is losing a lot of their livelihoods, and so a lot of the Tusi Islanders have to move out of the island. So one thing that we wanted to try and do was to sort of create a stronger livelihood that accommodates that sort of fluctuation of water intruding into the landscape. So plenty of things within the sort of design allowed the water to come into the building, and that water is used to power some of the functions in the building. For example, the rotation of the water, called a noria, sort of powers a lot of the functions within the building, which allows them to sort of churn plastic, which comes from the Nile River. A lot of the Nile River has a really bad problem with plastic polluting the waters, and so part of the scheme is to take in this plastic and turn it into construction material. And then the water can also be used for like hydration. One of the key issues is the water quality is really low, and sometimes what they do is use date pits from date palms, which are sort of local to the island, and the ash from those date pits can be used to sort of purify water quality, which they can use within making these zeopots. Zeopots are basically just water storage devices that keep water cool. They have 2 layers infilled with sand, and that keeps the water cool for them, and they sort of act as like socializing devices. So they're placed in the public realm, and they sort of create that threshold between public and private, where the sort of private property leaves the water within the threshold, and public users can use that water, creating conversations. And it also acts as an environmental device to keep the area cool. And sort of that's what the design was meant to be doing, is creating these zeopots through the production of clay and palm, using palm weaving to sort of protect the clay from the sunlight.
Okay, so some of the challenges that we faced were obviously the project being in Tuti in Khartoum. We couldn't actually go to the site, and so we had to do a lot of research using Google Maps and looking at those different layers and traces to try and build up all that information. I think we're the only group project that got commended for the RIBA, which is really interesting. I think from our point of view, working as a collaborative team, it was difficult, but at the same time it made you have to work really hard to understand each other's identity, and you sort of had to form sort of a joint architectural identity. And then to actually get the commendation for the Silver Award, it's an amazing feeling. I mean, both of us couldn't believe it. And just want to say a huge thanks to everyone at Plymouth, the tutors that helped us through that whole thing. Currently we're working separate practices, but there's always talk of Shaw and Stone architects eventually that will...
Maybe we'll run some competitions or something.
Yeah, definitely in the near future. But then in the future, hopefully we'll have a architecture practice between us, yeah.